I never thought it'd be a blurry, 14-second video from my younger brother's phone that would tear my world in two. The clip didn't show her in bed with anyone. It didn't need to. All it showed was my wife, in a low-lit club on a Friday night, slowly sliding off her wedding ring, and laughing like she hadn't laughed in years. We were never the kind of couple who fought in public. Hell, we rarely fought at all. You'd think that meant we were rock solid. But that's the funny thing about silence, sometimes it means peace, and sometimes it means something's been dead so long nobody bothered to check the pulse. Her name is Emily. We've been married 8 years. No kids. By choice, mostly hers. Said she wanted to feel the wind at her back a little longer. I took that to mean she wasn't ready for the weight of motherhood. I respected it. I loved her. And she knew it. That night, when my brother Josh sent me the video, I was finishing up a late dinner alone, spaghetti, reheated, half the sauce still cold in the center. I wasn't expecting much when I saw the message from him, "Bro. You're gonna want to see this." Sorry. I clicked. I watched. I didn't breathe. Emily stood at the bar of some club in downtown Raleigh, gold rings glinting in the dim lighting, except one, the important one, was missing from her left hand. A man leaned close, clearly trying to make her laugh. She didn't pull back. She laughed. Threw her head back in that way she used to only do around me. Then she reached into her purse and placed her wedding ring inside. She never looked around, never looked guilty. That hurt the most. She looked free. Josh had been at the club on a random night out with friends. He didn't even realize who he was recording at first. He was filming his buddy's stupid dance moves until he panned right and caught her in frame, Emily, my wife, with some guy who looked like he got lost on his way to a whiskey ad. Josh didn't say anything. Just filmed, saved it, and sent it once he got home and could confirm what he'd seen. "Don't do anything rash," he texted after. "Just thought you should know." Rash? I didn't even get angry. Not yet. Something colder settled in. Something quieter. I felt it snake through my chest like frost creeping across a windshield. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't call her. I didn't drive down to the club to catch her in the act. That's not my style. And anyway, it wasn't necessary. Because I already knew. And the moment I saw that ring vanish into her purse like a secret, something clicked. She came home that night at 2:12 a.m. I was pretending to be asleep. I heard her heels hit the hardwood, slow and careful. She took a shower. Tiptoed into bed. No kiss on the cheek. No whispered, "You awake?" She was cautious. Like someone sneaking back into a house they weren't sure they belonged to anymore. I lay there, counting her breaths, and planning. The next morning, I played dumb. Poured her coffee just the way she liked it. Almond milk, half a spoon of sugar. She smiled, thanked me, kissed me on the cheek. The same cheek she didn't kiss the night before. I smiled back, told her I had to head into work early. Left the house without finishing my eggs. Drove 2 blocks down. Pulled over. And screamed. But only once. Then I got to work. I spent the next week building a case. Not for court. Not for public revenge. For me. I checked our shared accounts. Her location history. Downloaded backups from the cloud. Cross-referenced names, faces, places. The guy's name was Eric. I recognized him vaguely from her gym's Instagram page. He was in the background of one of her yoga stories. He had that fake sincere look. The kind of guy who compliments your wife too often but never looks you in the eye. I saved screenshots. I downloaded that video and backed it up on 3 drives. I started detaching. Quietly. Carefully. I told her I was traveling more for work. I created distance so she wouldn't see the storm building behind my eyes. And while she danced closer to Eric, I drew my line in the sand. You want to know the funny thing? Even when you know someone's lying to you, it still shatters something when they actually say the lie out loud. It happened one evening when I got home early and she hadn't noticed. I walked in on her in the kitchen, phone to her ear, whispering, smiling. She turned around like I'd caught her shoplifting. I was talking to Rachel, she said, her voice too high, too cheerful. Rachel. Her friend who moved to Denver 6 months ago. I smiled. I didn't ask, I said. She blinked. What? I shrugged. Didn't ask who you were talking to. Then I walked into the living room, sat on the couch, and turned on the game. I could feel her standing in the kitchen, trying to figure out how much I knew. Good. Let her wonder. There's a unique kind of power in not reacting. In letting the other person think they've gotten away with something. But the truth is, I wasn't trying to catch her in a lie anymore. I was preparing for the final move. I wasn't looking for closure. I was building the quietest, cleanest exit possible. She kept slipping. Not in big ways, nothing that would make a headline, but in those subtle details that only someone paying close attention would notice. I became a ghost in my own house, a shadow with purpose. I'd leave early, come home late, smile just enough to keep the peace. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything: bank charges, gym check-ins that didn't match her usual schedule, photos from a business brunch that clearly featured her and Eric sitting far too close at a rooftop cafe. She told me she was at a coworker's baby shower that day. I saved the receipt from the restaurant they visited. The lies piled up like snow, soft, quiet, but suffocating just the same. Josh, my brother, helped me pull phone records. He used to work for a telecom company and still had friends who owed him favors. Within a day, I had every call, every text log, not the messages themselves, but the numbers, times, durations. Eric's number popped up nearly every night after 10 p.m. Always short. Always late. The kind of calls that end with whispered laughs and a turned-off bedside lamp. I didn't confront her. Didn't need to. I was past confrontation. I wasn't trying to change her mind. I was preparing to leave her with no illusions about why I walked away. 3 weeks in, I hired a private investigator. Not because I needed proof. I already had more than enough. But I wanted something formal. Something legal. Something undeniable. I told the guy to be discreet. He laughed. Sir, if your wife so much as breathes on someone she shouldn't, I'll know what perfume she was wearing when she did it. He was thorough. Too thorough, honestly. 3 days later, he delivered a folder to my office. Photos. Time stamps. A report. Emily and Eric. Holding hands in the parking lot of a hotel off I-40. Entering room 217. 93 minutes later, leaving separately. She had changed her shirt. He didn't. That night, she came home with Thai food and a movie suggestion. Some romantic comedy. She was trying. That's the thing, sometimes they try harder when they're already halfway gone. Guilt makes people generous. She leaned against me on the couch like nothing had changed. I held her. And I felt nothing. Not anger. Not love. Just clarity. I met with a lawyer the next morning. Do you want to go scorched earth? She asked after reviewing my file. Because you've got enough for it. No, I said. Just clean. We drafted a separation agreement that favored me, financially, emotionally, logistically. I kept the house. She kept her guilt. All I had to do now was wait for the right moment to deliver it. The final piece came unexpectedly. I found the ring. The one she took off in the video. It was tucked inside the side pocket of her gym bag, the same one she always left by the back door. I pulled it out, felt the weight of it in my hand. It wasn't just a ring anymore. It was a key. To her lies. To my freedom. The next morning, I laid the ring on the kitchen counter with the signed agreement beside it. No note. No explanation. She'd understand. I took my keys, walked out the door, and didn't look back. She called 23 times that first day. Texted 34. Her first message was confused. Then concerned. Then angry. Why is the house so empty? Where are you? Is this some kind of joke? I don't deserve this. That one made me laugh out loud. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wasn't going to give her what she wanted. She didn't want answers. She wanted control. And I'd already taken that back. She showed up at my office 2 days later. I saw her through the glass walls, her face pale, jaw tight, eyes scanning the room like she expected to find me mid-confession with someone else. She had her professional face on, the one she wore to funerals and fundraisers. I didn't get up. My assistant intercepted her before she could reach the door. "Mr. Cole isn't available," she said, like we rehearsed. "He's asked not to receive personal visitors." Emily tried to press her. That's when she saw the manila envelope on the desk behind her. The separation papers. Signed. Sealed. Delivered in silence. She stood there for a moment, like the ground had shifted under her feet. Then she left without another word. That night, she emailed me. "I deserve a conversation, David. After everything. Don't do this like I meant nothing." I stared at the screen. For once, she was right. She did deserve a conversation. But not the kind she wanted. I replied. "Emily. You're right. You do deserve a conversation. So here it is. You took off your ring before you took off your clothes. That part matters. You didn't make a mistake. You made a decision. Over and over again. You lied with a straight face. You shared your body with someone else while coming home to the one who held your soul. And when I was quiet, when I gave you space to tell me the truth, you filled it with more lies. That wasn't love. That was convenience. I won't rage at you. I won't humiliate you. I will simply leave. Because my silence is not weakness. It's strength. And walking away doesn't mean I lost. It means I finally understood my worth. Don't respond. This conversation is over. David." After that, she stopped calling. The silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt earned. I slept that night for the first time in months without waking up to check the time, or the door. Funny how grief doesn't always come with tears. Sometimes it comes as stillness. A cold kitchen table. An extra pillow on the bed. And peace. They say when a man loses his partner, he either breaks, or becomes unbreakable. I didn't break. But I did unravel, quietly, methodically, the way a man does when he's lived in someone else's shadow too long and finally steps back into the light. The first few mornings were the hardest. The house was silent. Too silent. No clink of coffee mugs. No scent of her lavender shampoo. Just the hum of the fridge and the creak of old floorboards that suddenly felt unfamiliar. It was like living in a museum of my former life. She'd taken surprisingly little. Left behind her perfume bottles, a few books, and a yellow scarf she used to wear when we'd go walking in the fall. Funny what they leave behind. Sometimes it feels intentional. Like they want to haunt you a little. But I didn't throw the scarf away. I boxed it up with the rest. Then I sat across from that box for nearly an hour before I taped it shut. I started going to the gym again. Not out of vanity, Out of necessity. I needed something to carry the weight that wasn't inside me anymore. The first time I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize the man staring back. Tired eyes. Slumped shoulders. A decade of quiet compromise carved into the lines on my face. You let yourself go, I whispered to my own reflection. Not physically. Not exactly. But spiritually. I had shrunk to make her shine. Never again. My brother Josh showed up that weekend with a six-pack and zero subtlety. So, he said, cracking open a beer, you gonna burn her clothes in the backyard, or just emotionally vaporize her like you've been doing? I smirked. Neither. I'm done giving her fire. He raised a brow. You always were the cold kind of dangerous. We talked late into the night. About everything and nothing. He stayed over. I didn't ask, and he didn't offer, it just felt right. Around 2 a.m., he asked the one question I hadn't wanted to answer. Do you still love her? I didn't say anything for a long time. Then I replied, I love the version of her that used to exist. But I don't think she does. The next few weeks blurred. I worked. I ran. I read. I drank too much black coffee. I started journaling, not because I thought I was profound, but because I needed to bleed somewhere that wasn't my chest. I wrote things like, she gave me her past. I gave her my future. Love without honesty is just a performance. Sometimes forgiveness isn't healing, it's surrender. And I'm not surrendering anymore. I caught myself checking her social media once. Just once. She'd posted a picture of a sunset, some quote about growth and new beginnings. No sign of Eric. No sign of remorse. Just the curated version of a woman who'd burned her house down and now wanted credit for the ashes. I closed the app. It wasn't my job to monitor her journey. I had my own. One morning, I shaved off my beard. Stared at the man underneath. He looked new. Older, yes. But stronger. Clearer. Like a man who'd lost everything he didn't need. I used to think our house had her fingerprints on everything. Turns out, once I started looking closer, it was mostly just her clutter. The pink throw pillows. The scented candles I always hated but never said anything about. The quote art hanging by the stairs, love lives here. Not anymore. The first weekend alone, I took everything off the walls. Every picture, every frame, every trace of the life we pretended was perfect. I didn't throw it away. I'm not that dramatic. I boxed it. Labeled it, past. Handle with gloves. Then I went to the hardware store. I spent 3 hours choosing a new paint color for the living room. You'd be amazed how many shades of gray exist. I picked one called Stone Trail. Looked kind of like the sky right before a thunderstorm. Fitting. By Sunday night, the room was transformed. The once soft yellow walls we painted together years ago now looked sharper, more masculine. Less family room, more rebuilt from the inside out. I stood in the center of the space, hands on my hips, breathing in the scent of new beginnings. For the first time in a long time, the house felt like it belonged to me. Not us. Me. I didn't tell anyone I was changing things. Not my friends. Not Josh. Not my parents. I didn't need anyone's approval. That was the beauty of this stage of grief, it wasn't loud anymore. It was focused. Every drawer I cleared, every cabinet I reorganized, it felt like peeling layers of her off the walls of my life. I even found an old notebook of hers under the bed. Inside were a few pages of journal entries, mostly from a time when we were still happy. One line stood out. David doesn't see me anymore. I read that line twice. Then I whispered back, you stopped standing where I could. I turned her old vanity into a writing desk. Moved my books into the living room. Donated the wine glasses she loved but never used, gifts from her sister, still in the box. I bought a new coffee table. Solid wood. No frills. It didn't say anything when you walked in the room. It just existed. Like me. One night, Josh stopped by unannounced again. Stepped in, looked around, and let out a low whistle. Damn. This doesn't even feel like the same house. That's because it's not, I said, handing him a beer. He sat down on the new couch, glanced around. No offense, but I think you're better at decorating than she was. I smirked. She was great at making things look good. I'm better at making them feel right. I didn't change the locks. That wasn't a petty move, it was symbolic. She could still walk in if she wanted to. She just wouldn't recognize the place anymore. Because this house isn't a museum of our memories. It's a monument to survival. To starting over without having to start from scratch. I wasn't looking for anyone. That's not a line, it's the truth. By then, I was 6 months out. My lawyer had wrapped everything up cleanly. No dramatic court scenes. Just 2 signatures, a property division, and the soft thud of a closed file folder. Emily moved to Asheville. Bought a condo with mountain views. She posted a picture of it online with the caption, "New Roots." I didn't like it. Didn't comment. Didn't care. At least, not enough to stay stuck. The coffee shop was near my office. Quiet. Brick walls, wood floors, real mugs. No music playing over speakers trying too hard. Just the steady hum of espresso machines and private conversations. It became my thinking place. My sit down and feel normal again spot. She was already sitting at my table one morning when I walked in. To be fair, it wasn't my table. But I'd claimed it enough times that it felt like it was. She looked up from her laptop. Sorry, do you usually sit here? I smiled. Only when I'm trying to solve all of life's problems before 9 a.m. She laughed, soft, genuine. Not forced like people who try to be interesting. Well, I'm good with company, she said, gesturing to the empty chair. Unless you're one of those deep in thought types. I sat down. I used to be. Lately, I'm more of a figure it out as I go guy. Her name was Claire. Divorced. Graphic designer. Moved back to town to help care for her dad, who just had heart surgery. We didn't flirt. We talked. About books. Coffee. The weather. Her dad's slow but steady recovery. My failed attempt at learning guitar. Nothing deep. Nothing dramatic. But it felt real. We ran into each other again the next week. And the week after that. Eventually, we stopped pretending it was a coincidence. She never asked about my past. Not at first. And I never asked about hers. There's something sacred about meeting someone when you're no longer trying to impress them, just trying to be. One evening, we walked out together. The air was cool. Streetlights flickered on as the sky dimmed into that perfect twilight haze. Claire turned to me and said, "You look like a man who survived something." I paused. "I am." She nodded. "Me too." That was it. No need for details. Just recognition. Shared ground. We didn't start dating, not right away. It was more like 2 people standing quietly at the same crossroads, neither rushing the other. One night she texted. "I'm not looking to be saved. I just want someone who doesn't mind the scars." I replied. "Scars mean you healed. I'll take that over a perfect stranger any day." By December, she came over for dinner. She noticed the empty wall in the hallway where that quote art used to hang. "What was there before?" she asked. I didn't even blink. "A lie," I said. She smiled. Good thing you took it down. There's a kind of silence that used to scare me. The kind that filled the room after an argument, or after she turned away in bed, or after I caught myself asking, does she still love me, but never out loud. Now, silence feels different. It's calm. It's earned. It's mine. It's been almost a year. The house looks nothing like it did before. The colors are warmer, the art is simpler. There's a leather chair by the window now, my chair, where I read in the evenings or just sit and breathe. Claire comes over sometimes. Not every day. We both like our space. There's no pressure, no pretending. She doesn't try to fix me. I don't try to perform. When she's here, she brings red wine and stories from her design clients. When she's not, I still feel okay. Whole. That's the difference. She fits into my life without needing to complete it. Emily never reached out again. Not directly, anyway. She sent a birthday card, unsigned. No return address. I opened it, read the message inside, some generic line about wishing you happiness. Then I slid it into the drawer with the rest of the past. Didn't rip it. Didn't burn it. Just filed it under irrelevant. My lawyer told me something during our last meeting. You handled this better than most. I asked what she meant. You didn't try to ruin her. You just reclaimed yourself. Some men rage when they're betrayed. Some beg. Some spiral. I didn't. Not because I'm stronger. But because I finally understood this. There is nothing more dangerous than a man who knows his worth. A man who's been broken but chooses to build, brick by brick, instead of throwing stones. I've stopped looking back. Not because it didn't matter. But because I gave it all the time it deserved. And not a second more. One night, Claire and I were sitting on the porch, sipping tea as the wind stirred the trees. She looked over and said, "You ever think about what you would have done differently?" I thought for a long moment. Then I said, "Yeah. I would have left sooner." She nodded. Me too. If you're reading this, if you've been lied to, betrayed, broken in quiet places where no one could see it, let me tell you something no one told me soon enough. You are not weak for loving hard. You are not foolish for believing. And you are not less of a man for walking away when it's time. The strength is not in holding on. It's in knowing when to let go, with dignity. I don't think I'll ever marry again. Not because I'm bitter. Because I'm full. She took off her ring like it meant nothing. But I walked away wearing everything I'd ever given her, honesty, loyalty, patience, and carried it back into my own life. She lost a good man. I found him.